Man, oh man, coming off that weekend, we expected the star attraction to be number 88 in the Maple Leafs, and I would say he lived up to expectation. I thought it was quite poetic how the Global Series ended with a Willie Nylander OT winner against the Wild on Sunday. Your thoughts?
No kidding, man. Like, just one of those stories and scripts that kind of writes itself exactly the way that Hollywood would write it. And I mean, Leafs are hot, Willie's hot. Like, how high is his stock right now? Like,
Whew.
I know they kind of tried to get him done in the summer and they weren't close, and like time wasn't really an issue. But the one problem is, what if he just goes on absolute fire, which he's done nothing less than be on absolute fire all season long, and his stock is through the roof, man. I mean, he's got 15 apples in 17 games. That's not like no goals. It's wild, man. He's looking so good. He's looking like a superstar. And the weekend was fantastic. Like, good for Swedish hockey culture, good for the NHL, good exposure, good everything. Couldn't have wrote the script any better. I don't think it's fantastic. I just wonder, what does that do to the future of the Maple Leafs and that core four and the roster? I mean, you can't lose this guy. You want to talk about a Maple Leaf going into the free agency and haunting you forever? You let Willie Nylander go right now. He will be a bona fide superstar for a long time, I believe, and you just don't want that. You don't want to watch that. You don't want him coming into Toronto and smoking you every night. You just don't want to let that be the fish that got away.
He's like the breath of fresh air, man. Like, he reminds me of like a superstar from like the 90s where they knew they were a stud and they're going to show you they were a stud. They were going to speak out. Like Jeremy Roenick, like every third game would speak out. He would say something crazy. But to me, it's like the swagger. Like, nothing against like the McDavids and the Crosbys and some of the better players in this league, but they're kind of boring. They're kind of mundane. And then you look at Nylander, like he's got the championship belt. He's having a great time in Sweden. He's celebrating a bit, controlling the game. There's just something a bit different to him. You know what I mean? And we've thought that way since he came into this league years ago. There's this like humble confidence to him, and he knows he's the shit, and he acts like it too. I love it. Like, I don't know if you saw that quote on Friday. The media team for the Leafs, the social media team, likes to do like little quirks where they ask questions when the guys are skating out there for practice. And one of the questions the other day, who's like your favorite Swedish player of all time? Who do you think Nylander's answer was?
Myself?
It was a joke, but he said Willie Nylander, man. That it was so NBA. I said it was so LeBron James. But honestly, dude,
Yeah.
considering some of the lack of personality we have in this league, I have no problem with it. The guy believes in himself, and he's showing it right now. He's been their best player all season long.
Yeah, it's a likable confidence. It's not a prick arrogance, right? There's a
Yeah,
difference. And some guys have that confidence, and it's like, F you, I'm the best, and I'm sick, and everyone's garbage. And it's just
exactly.
like, it's so easy to hate. But his is just like, yeah, like, I don't know. He's very likable. It's a
He is.
positive confidence that I don't think bothers anybody. And there's a way to do it. And it's funny, you talk coaching kids and stuff like that. They don't seem to get that yet. Some kids are so, with their exorbitant celebrations and talking. You can't even freaking walk by one of these kids these days. I got 4 goals in the week. I got 3 goals. I go win top shelf. Look at me. Look at my shot. It's just so about them. And, when you turn into one of those unbelievable players like Willie has, it's nice to see that, yeah, it takes confidence to get there, but it's the right kind of confidence that doesn't rub people the wrong way. It's not arrogance. And I think he handles it perfectly. Like you said, shows a bit of personality. He's not scared to say something. I mean, the Connor McDavids and the Crosbys, they have to be that way because they're so scared to say the wrong thing and get roasted.
Yeah.
Everything's going to get picked apart. Everything's under a microscope or magnifying glass, and you can't say the wrong thing. So you just keep it mundane, and no one can bother you. But Willie's found a way to circumvent that and be relatable, be cool, and why wouldn't you when you're that on fire, man? He's just smoking it this season.
I think you phrased it perfectly. Like, he's very likable, which is weird for a player like that. But you're right. It's a confidence. Like, it's not an arrogance. Like, he doesn't throw it in your face that he's an absolute stud. But then you see him and you watch the way he plays the game with such flow and domination. But like, you don't come across, like, very seldom have I heard anybody in this league be like, "Oh, that guy's so cocky. He's a real piece of shit." Like, when's the last guy somebody said that about Willie Nylander? It's like a confidence. I don't know how to phrase it specifically, and maybe likable is the best way as you phrased it, but like, there's just this soft confidence to him that he is just going to do what he wants out there. And this year we're seeing the fruits of the labor. Like, he's gotten better and better and better and better every year. Let's not lose sight of the fact that last year he scores 40 goals for the first time. He's on top of the world. What does he do? He has a strong offseason, comes back even stronger this year, where this guy is looking like a bona fide superstar, right? Like, for the last 5-6 years, we talked about Nylander being like a star player in this league. But now, like, he's a superstar. Like, I think he has ascended into that level where I think he's in the conversation with some of the better players in this league right now.
He's playing that way. And I mean,
Yeah.
keep in mind the knock could be effort level. Remember that one
true.
clip of him going for a puck and just absolutely quitting and giving up on it? You don't want to see that part of Willie. I think that may have been growing pains, immaturity, frustration. Fine, give him a pass. He's on a contract year and he's absolutely lighting it up. So I think a good test will be lock this guy up for a while. And
see.
I want him to be like that on year one of a new ticket, right? And I think he can be. Like I said, I think that was kind of growing pains and immaturity that led to some of those blunders that, he can be, he's been knocked for in the past. But I mean, anything close to this level of compete that he's got going on right now is just phenomenal. And the Leafs have got him. They got to find a way to lock him up. And how that looks, my goodness, I'm glad I'm not the guy in charge of it. But
yeah,
I don't know, man. He just seems more and more like the guy you absolutely have to keep, even if you need to make some tough decisions elsewhere.
Duke writes in with a good point. I feel Willie will be 28 next May. This could very well be his peak. I would agree with that. Like, I think he's playing the best hockey of his career, the best hockey he will play in his career. And I think, that's the point of emphasis, I think, in conversations for the Maple Leafs when they talk extension with this guy is like, have you hit your ceiling? I think it's fair to say he's hit his ceiling. That's a pretty high ceiling, but like, how much better can the guy get at this point? McDavid level? I don't think he can get there.
No one's going to be McDavid, but if he's at this level right now, he's at 27. He's in his prime. Like, you don't say peak. Like, he's not over the hill after this year. Like, let's get serious here.
It's fair.
Maybe this is his peak, but there's no reason physically he can't sustain it for 4 years, right? And be an absolute dominant player in this league for, the first, say, 3-4 years of his contract that he signs after this year. So that's exactly when you want to get a guy. That's exactly when you're going to lock him up. And maybe, it's a great time to do it. Timing is everything. I mean, contract years, you have a smoker. I mean, that's what some guys do. And yes, in 6 years, on the last couple of years of a deal, it's going to be like, oh, he's making too much for right now. Well, yeah, that's why you signed it that long ago. He earned it back then and he wanted to lock it up long term. And that's what it takes these days to get these guys signed. So it just is what it is, but he's in his prime, no doubt. I don't like to say the word peak because it means he can't get any better, and it makes me think that there's nowhere to go but down. But you can get high, and you can just sustain that and just be a dominant player for a long time.
Make sure to check out more of our content right here on the Leafs Nation YouTube page. We got long form interviews, we got clips, we got epic rants by Jay Rosehill. We simply have it all, and don't forget, you can find out much more at theleafsnation.com. Thanks so much for watching.